On a normal Thursday, Kevin walked through Lincoln High's busy hallways easily, like any junior who knows what high school is all about. He was funny and kind, but he had a secret wish. He really wanted to help fix the unfair things he saw happening around him every day, even though he often felt too small to make a big change. Throughout the day, rumors about a mysterious person lurking near the school began to spread. Adults brushed these off as they were just some tales stirred up by the students' imaginations. However, these whispers still caused a growing sense of unease among the students with each hour that passed. The routine of the day was shattered when the piercing sound of the lockdown alarm echoed through the corridors of Lincoln High. Confusion reigned as teachers hurriedly separated their students into classrooms, locking doors behind them. What was initially thought to be a drill morphed into a terrifying reality as distinct shots shattered the illusion of safety, sending waves of panic throughout the trapped students and facility. Hidden in the library with a group of his peers, Kevin felt a familiar stir within him, a call to action. As fear gripped his classmates, he knew he could not stand there doing nothing. With the internet and cell service mysteriously down, information was scarce, leaving only rumors of a man in a black suit and a mask haunting the halls. Kevin had made his decision. Leveraging his extensive knowledge of the school's layout, he began a dangerous game with the intruder, a game of cat and mouse. Moving quietly through the maintenance corridors and rarely using the hallways, he worked his way around and directed his fellow students to safety whenever he could, all while avoiding the deadly predator that roamed the halls. The group in the library huddled up and was scared, and Kevin became a beacon for others, silently slipping in and out of the library, guiding those of his classmates he could to the relative safety it offered. But with each return, the weight of his task seemed to grow heavier and heavier. The faces of his classmates ached with fear, and unspoken questions of who the intruder might be stirred amongst them. As time went by, the reality of Kevin's situation became more and more grim on him. Kevin, moving from one classroom to the next, trying to find his fellow classmates, witnessed the devastating aftermath of the masked man's path. The sight of empty hallways, once filled with the sound and laughter of life, now silent and haunting, fueled the burning resolve within him. It was a scene that would have left everyone traumatized, and it was a reminder to Kevin of how fragile humans are and how cruel we can be. Everything changed then, when there was no other option left. Kevin led a group of students in a desperate run through the back exits, only to witness the sight of his favorite teacher, Miss Anderson, not fleeing, but making her final stand to protect her students from the masked man. Her courage, knowing she was moments from death, would have been hard for Kevin to accept. He hadn't come face to face with his emotions yet. What came next happened in a blur of motion and feelings. As Kevin finally laid eyes on the masked man, it felt like an eternity. Disguise and innocence becoming infueled by madness. Then came the words, those chilling words that would have been the last that Kevin and his fellow students would have heard. Before the cops showed up, the masked man looked behind at Kevin and calmly said to him, "You saw nothing." The masked man disappeared into the mist that had began to envelop the school grounds. Kevin was left to grapple with the magnitude of what had just occurred. The police arrival was way too late. Their sirens a distinct echo against the background of a tragedy that would forever mark their lives for those who had survived. In the aftermath, as the community mourned and the tales of valor and heartbreak surfaced, Kevin found himself at a crossroad. He was awarded for his bravery that day, but still struggled with the weight and the anchor of survivor's guilt, and the words the masked man left behind. His burden was one he'd willingly accept to bear, to remember the day his life changed forever in those school hallways. As Kevin looked out at the faces that swelled the vigil held in memory of the victims that day, he realized the true test of courage was not just in the act of one's day, but in the strength to carry on, to rebuild the charred remains of the devastation. In an instant, he made a quiet promise to those who were lost, a vow to spend the rest of his days making sure their echoes never died down the halls of Lincoln High.